Mrs. Klein is just perfectly capable of listening, right?
Yeah.
Filling him in. I think everybody here knows who I am, Teresa Carbone, Superintendent for East Oval School Corporation. This evening is about you, listening to you. We are not here to answer a lot of questions, but what we are here is to record what questions you have, thoughts you have about the corporation. We will not go any longer than 7 o'clock, just respect everyone's time. And then we'll go around the room and just allow you guys to introduce yourself. I think most everybody knows who everybody is. But Faye, if you want to start.
Faye Klein.
Ben Klein.
Joel Lash.
Misha Lash.
Rachel Carpenter.
Eva Carpenter.
Brett Carpenter.
Greg Rice.
Sydney Schwarzer. Carrie Shear. Rachel Roos. Ellie Rothenberger.
Wonderful.
I seen you at Rule King, and I was like, I've seen her face here
Oh,
lately.
really?
And I don't know her name though.
No.
She is my fabulous administrative assistant and
Okay.
keeps me straight, working. All right, so, I have my cheat sheet here, but again, the meeting is for you. We just wanna open it up and provide an opportunity to hear your voice. We hear a lot of times that 3 minutes isn't enough. This isn't for speech. This is just for general conversation. Mrs. Rothenberg is going to be taking notes for us throughout the evening, the next hour, I should say. And all I ask is that you be respectful of one another, that you don't dominate the conversation, so you allow everyone to have their time to speak. So, we're gonna first look at our FAQ, which Kelly has those. She's gonna pass those out. Some of you may already have those in your possession, which is fine. Okay.
Like this one, this
You
one,
can have
sit
it.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Tienes que ir tan rápido, güey.
She does very good. I saw it. So if you start by going to page 2, of the FAQ, I'm just gonna go over a couple of these things that have been kind of the hot topics that we have been asked. It's kind of one of the main reasons why we started this, is just to get out the correct information. And the very first one is, does East Noble School Board post newly proposed policies prior to a meeting? And the answer is yes. We've been doing that since August of 2023. We don't provide hard copies at board meetings though, because we have no idea how many people are gonna show up. It would be fiscally responsible for us to make off 50 copies and throw 45 of them in the trash. If you're at the board meeting, you're more than welcome to get online and look at those. It's right under school board, and it's in the meeting minutes, so it's pretty easy. Right there, I have the path that you can go on. But you can feel free to follow along. I usually do a review on the first reading that we do, which is 1 month prior to the adoption. A month later, the board will act on it. Excuse me. And then you're welcome to give public comments in your 3 minutes on any of those board policies, or you can reach out directly to a board member if you have some input on that. But either way, feel free to make any comments that you choose. The second one I want to just kind of hit on really quick is the next one, which is, once a teacher resigns for alleged inappropriate contact with students, how can we keep them from being hired by another school corporation? We can't. We have no control over what another school corporation does. However, by law, we are obligated to release information if they were ever terminated, if they were put on an administrative leave, or if they resign. So if we're asked by another school corporation, we have to provide that. Unfortunately, other school corporations don't always do that with us. So we're at the mercy of what information they give us, but by law, we have to provide that information. So we don't have to give details there, and they don't allow us to do that, but we can give a statement of what happened. So, and if that person is, if it's a teacher, for example, and they are convicted of a crime, then we are obligated by law, once again, to turn that over to the Indiana Department of Education, and they will revoke their license. So those are the two hot ones there. There are lots of other frequently asked questions, which kind of leads me into why we're here tonight, is we're want to hear from you. And if we do get questions, we are going to be adding them to this list. We'll get them put out there, because if you want to know, then maybe other people want to know too. So that's just a sampling. I'm not gonna waste the time, because this night is about you. Excuse me, I've coughed all day and now here I go. So, we're gonna start out by just asking for some positives. What is the, and Kelly's recording all of this as well. What are some positives about East Noble? We do the same thing with our student voice group. We look at what are the things that we feel like are good, what do you want to see continue, and then what are the areas of growth that we need. So this is what we're gonna do. So tonight, let's just start with the positives. What do you think that is really happening well, and what do you want to see continue? And Kelly will record it all. Feel free to talk.
I really have enjoyed hearing about the other extracurriculars that have been doing well, like the robotics club was in the last one that you discussed. That was, what was the first year they ever did it, and they.
Oh, the ones that went to state?
Yeah, and they went to state. I thought that was cool. I was happy to hear about show choir doing well. I would like to see, more of those extracurricular activities, not really in the sports spectrum, be able to get as much, kind of light as the other ones. I mean, I know everybody loves sports, but I just don't, I feel like those other programs should also get the benefits and stuff that the sports do, because not everybody likes to be in the sports, and I think you have a lot of potential and a lot of other gifts and things that are being untapped in the area.
And we have tried really hard to make sure, like, our community newsletter that goes out actually focuses on those other groups and not the extracurriculars. Once in a while, we'll put something in there if there is some big award or a sectional or regional or something like that. But we don't try to focus on sports, because they do get a lot of attention through other avenues. So we do try to put the focus on some of the co-curricular pieces.
Where would I send a co-curricular? Thank you. I have a good one.
Send it to me or Brock.
Brock.
Go
Are you
for it.
familiar with Brock?
No, not really, but.
Okay, he's our communications coordinator. So a lot of things, like with the principals, anybody that has anything good, they can send it to him, and he'll put together something as a news release or whatever.
I'll send you one tonight or tomorrow.
What was it?
My daughter and Bella Lemon, and they, first year for FFA at the middle school, and they went to district, and they won, and they're going to state, and
And see, sometimes we don't always get that information, so it's perfect.
June, yep.
They posted on the, I don't know what site it was, but like the welders from the other
The
school, like most, I don't know, not everybody's on social media. I mean, that's surprising, but like they should be recognized for that. That's a cool trait to have. And
Oh, the signing and impact?
yeah, like more, like put that out there.
Yeah, and we don't always get all of that stuff from
Yeah.
Impact. If they're not sending it to us directly, then we're not necessarily seeing it. We have so much that we're trying to cover.
Right.
That we're not following their Facebook or anything like
Yeah.
that, so if they put it out that way, we wouldn't necessarily always see it.
Yeah.
I know Wednesday we have the board meeting and stuff, but if anyone could go over to Garrett and see their signing that they do for the high school, seniors that are going into employment rather than to college, it's a pretty cool event over there. They like have food trucks
I
and
thought we had one of those already.
a big thing like that. I didn't see it.
Yeah, just forget. I it's
I think
too much
that's,
stuff.
I think
and
that's
it's
the impact one maybe that she's bringing up.
Okay, maybe it
Yeah.
was.
That's cool.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say anything, but one thing that,
Yeah, sure.
a positive that I have really enjoyed, the senior spotlight.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed watching those of the seniors, so if you guys haven't seen those, pull them up, they're pretty cool.
We have a lot of really good things happening and we do need to make sure.
Are you
we're
wanting to
sharing
say
that.
something?
Yeah, I've got,
You're next.
okay,
Go on.
thank you. My granddaughter, who is a 7th grader here at the middle school, she's on the National Honor Society. And I can't remember the teacher who directed this. Maybe you guys know. I'm sorry?
Andy Sliber.
Yes, yes. But she recently completed a project for community service. And, well, she chose to do the community service with her great-grandmother, which was my mother, did a lot of work for her around the house, and really worked her little hind end off. And she approached that with enthusiasm, with vigor, and I just thought it was a great opportunity to teach some of these kids or give them an opportunity to give back in a positive way. So I really appreciate that program.
Okay. So is that something you can share with me by email? Because I don't really know anything about it and.
I will, yes.
Perfect.
I'll get more
And I'll try
details
to
and
get,
I'll
yeah, if
forward
you
it
can
to
get more
you.
information, I mean.
Sure.
We'd love to tout about our staff if we can and
Mhm.
share that kind of information, so. We have good staff, so. Anything else? Nothing else, good, huh? We have
Good
more.
teachers overall, that we had the teacher appreciation at all the schools, elementaries, middle school. I don't know what they did at the high school level, if they do anything, but.
They do a lot, yeah.
Okay.
And I was just, sharing with Carrie how wonderful it was that she came up from middle school with some help, I'm sure. And how much our teachers really appreciated what she did, her efforts, and they really enjoyed it, said nothing but good things, so.
I heard that too, from probably somebody different. So
Yeah, yeah.
They were those teachers were
There was
very
a-
appreciative.
40 families we were trying to
Oh,
rally.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Is there not PTO at the middle school?
I was just asking.
No, there's not, because they do it at the elementary level pretty well, I think, but the middle school kind of gets forgotten about because kids get older or something, but the teachers are still at every building. So it will be different next year. The group that got together, they're gonna keep going with the PTO, so, and they filed, for all their tax stuff and all that stuff, so we should be good to go for next year.
Perfect. I know they've tried a couple times, but it just didn't have any success in taking off the ground.
So one thing I would like to talk about too is you have these other groups and stuff that are doing well. I had tried to reach out to the East Oak Corporation about having like the marching band in the parade this year, but they were both going to be on vacation. They already had something planned, so they said that they would plan more for next year. How would you go about reaching out? What avenues do you have to go through to reach these other groups to see if they want to participate in the town, so we can actually put them in a spotlight in front of the town?
What other groups are you talking about?
Just like her with the FFA, or my wife with the Impact Institute, or the robotics group that went to state, you said, or show choir, any of them. How would you go about maybe organizing to get them into the community, to get them in the spotlight physically?
Yeah,
I can
go ahead.
answer this for you a little, kind of, anyways, on a basketball level for the team. We've always tried to get the girls' basketball team on, in the Christmas parade. But the last 2 years, because she's only a sophomore, the last 2 years, they always have a basketball game, an away game, when they schedule it. But, our athletic director is big on getting the kids out into the community, so it would just be, it's daunting, but it would just be getting a hold of the individual coaches or directors of the program, letting them know in advance. Like, we let Isaacs know about the Christmas parade, and it was like let's wait and see what the schedule's gonna look like. And then when the schedule came out, I think it was a home game this last year, so it was kind of like, okay, we got a couple of girls that are, it was up until like the week of, I think, when we
So it's per individual coach,
Yeah.
not through school.
Having talked to Luke about what his vision is with the different teams, they're gonna have different trainings this summer that he's gonna have with the coaches, and he's gonna make suggestions, but he's not gonna make them
Yeah.
do stuff like that,
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as that, he said it would
What was
just be
his name?
working. Luke Amstutz is the athletic director, but then it would just be Britton Isaacs is basketball coach, you know, like.
Now, the athletic director, he would have all the names and numbers of all the coaches and stuff, right?
Yeah, he could help you with that, for sure.
Just for like future stuff.
Yeah, like if you were wanting to do like this, it would just be like spring sports, I would say.
And I would just say he's not gonna release numbers to you.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine.
Personal contact information,
Yeah.
unless they
Yeah.
give it to us, we're not gonna release that,
Yeah.
so, but you can always get a hold of him, yeah.
I'll
Start
give
with,
my
start
number,
with
if they wanna
Luke,
call me back, they can call me back.
start with Luke, and he can always have that contact for you. Now, if it's anything else, like your robotics and all of that, go to your principals, because we have robotics at all levels. Start there, they can actually connect you with the right people. I know Luke is in charge of all, like, extracurriculars, as far as, you know, your theater and all of that. But also including the high school principal, or whatever principal it is for that building, is important too, so that they're in the know and they can help with organizing that, whatever it takes, so. Good thoughts? Anything else?
I wonder if you could like have a flyer that says, join the parade, it's on this date at this time, please bring our group. That way, at least people would have that contact place to be able to, and know exactly what they're signing up for, you know,
20
that might be a
minutes later.
good starting point too.
Yeah.
Cause even off season, like they have basketball and stuff right now too, so, volleyball and stuff, so.
Uh-huh.
He made it.
I did, sorry I'm late.
Hi Doug, good to see you.
That's good, that's awesome. Okay. So anything else, anybody, any positives, anything you want us to keep and make sure that it doesn't ever go away?
Jansen made it. It's positive, right?
Absolutely. More the
You don't
merrier.
mind it ever go away, right?
Good.
And you missed it.
We're right now.
Way to complain.
Doug, we're just right now talking about, or run it kinda like, you know, like student voice, so we're talking about the positives, what do we wanna keep, what's good, those kind of things, so they can brought up some really good stuff. So we're kinda winding down on that. Anything else anybody wants to share?
I just say, I like this atmosphere a lot more than the school board's meetings. It's a lot more relaxed
More personal.
and a lot less, cause half the time those school board meetings, I'm being honest with you, my chest is pounding so hard because I'm so nervous to stand up and talk. So this is a lot easier and relaxed for me, where that might come off as, I might be coming off as a jerk, but mostly I'm just really nervous. And so I like this, I like you guys trying this and doing this. I think this is a positive step in the right direction.
Well, we did it last fall too, I'm trying to remember what month, but I don't remember. Cause we do wanna hear from you, it's important to us, and I don't know if you wanna speak a little bit on that, but,
No, I think it's a strength that Teresa's brought, and I think that, you know, obviously, school board meetings are set up in a different form, because we can't have them. It's not set up that way, it's a business meeting, it needs to be run that way, unfortunately, but, you know, I think these are great, I think we should continue to do these, because you're right, you're absolutely right on that. The other thing I think that's really important, I'm sad to hear that your heart's pounding, because, you know, there's still valuable information there.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
hard.
public anxiety.
Yeah,
Which,
I
that's
get
so
it.
not true. Like,
Yeah.
you could talk to anybody about anything
Now,
forever.
in this kind of environment where it's a little bit more natural, yeah, I'm
Sure.
in for it, but when
Yeah.
it's like that, it just feels very, I don't know.
It's very businesslike.
it
Yeah.
feels like a business meeting, because
Yeah.
that's what it is, I mean, it just is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
But I would
So-
encourage, you know, emails, phone calls, you know, to anybody that has questions, and, I get them periodically, you know, and I answer answer every single one of them that have legitimacy to them.
Yeah.
And that could be a fine line, but, you know,
Yeah.
I try and police those.
Yeah.
But no, I think, you know, I am, and I speak for Faye when I say this, we're very approachable, and we do listen to everything that is said.
Yeah. When you go to the board meetings, because you can't respond, it feels different.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely awful.
It's very-
And there was a time when that correspondence was occurring, but it's, in the current time of the plan.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I think one more thing to follow on that, you know, every single question that is asked will be followed up by the superintendent if it's appropriate. If there's a legitimate question that needs to be responded to. I know they talked about the frequently asked questions tonight, we're trying to get those addressed, you know. We don't have anything to hide, we're trying to get the public as aware of everything, or anything that, you know, is there. There's no, you know, we're trying to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but we do follow up on important, legitimate questions that are brought up. That especially, you know, if things are brought up continually, we're not gonna continually. follow
Yeah.
up on those.
Repeat yourself, it's a waste of time.
I have those, so. I think Greg reached out to me recently, I don't remember what the question was, but.
Ask you for numbers and,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think I responded to you.
Yeah, you got with me, I think, you got me the answers within a week and a half, I think, 2 weeks or so.
Sometimes it just takes a little while to gather the information.
No, it's all good, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry if I didn't respond to you, I probably should have, but
it's
thank
okay.
you.
No
Yeah,
worries. Believe me, it doesn't clutter the inbox, so I appreciate not having to thank you for
Gotcha.
things, so, anyway, go ahead. Joel.
No, it's okay.
Anybody else? Okay, well, we're gonna move on to, the areas of growth, and I'm gonna just say up front, and we're gonna say this, is that we're not perfect. We know we're not perfect. We know that we don't always get things right. Our teachers are not perfect. They don't always get things right. What we try to do is to be on a continuous cycle of improvement. So we're always looking at ways to improve. We are always, I see you shaking your head, our staff gets a lot of professional development, a lot, probably almost overkill. It's spread out based on, what level they're at or what position they have within the corporation. But I can tell you, it's continuous. So what we're wanting from you is, where can we grow? Where can we get better? We have done a lot of changes based on input at board meetings and different other people that have reached out. For one is posting all of the board packets, posting all of the policies, those things have happened. We're still working on trying to get our board meetings posted, because we're recording them, but they're not great recordings. You can always do a public records request for one of those, and we have provided those for a couple people that have reached out and asked for those. But we are trying to improve our boardroom, and so that we can do that down the road, but that's not happening yet. It takes time, it takes money. I can tell you, I just had a conversation with one of our community officials, and they're struggling with that piece too. It's just trying to get everything live and get going, and so it just takes time, but we'll get there. So with that said, what are the areas of growth? Where do we need to improve? What can we get better at?
My interest at this meeting is to understand board member decisions, okay?
Okay.
And what guides their votes. Now, what foundational principles does the board use in its decision-making process regarding voting in favor of obscene material? For instance, board member Klein was kind enough to cite her reasons for making a motion and subsequently voting to keep a book in the high school library entitled A Stolen Life. And Faye did share her reasoning behind her decision. I don't believe I've seen anything else from any other board member, but Faye did share her reasoning, and if I could share it real quick. and then there's some follow-up questions with that. She says, I chose to keep this book in the library at East Noble High School as a resource for anyone who may, God forbid, be going through something similar. If the book is read in its entirety as intended, I believe it can be a valuable resource depicting true events. I read the entire book, spoke with parents, and prayed about it. I voted to expose minors to a book that, as intended, can teach them they can endure tough situations and survive. So that kind of opens up the door for me, Faye, and I'm not trying to be contentious with you or create any issues, but I do have some legitimate questions that I think are legitimate that I'd like to follow up with real quick, and if you can't answer them now, I understand.
Along the lines of what we need to improve along the school?
I'm talking, yes,
Oh, okay.
yes, because I do believe board member decisions play a role in, or where they lead in the role of what goes on within our school. Does that make sense?
No, but go ahead.
Okay, fine. So I would ask the first question, what data do you have to support your belief that a sexual assault victim will benefit from reading this book?
I don't think that's pertinent.
It is, you're not a psychologist, so it is.
I think it's, that's recommended to me. I can see that being a deal.
I think the forum tonight, though, is not necessarily to answer those questions. I think we're being videotaped to formulate the answers to that. I mean, I could sit down and talk to you, but any word will be used against me, and that's daunting.
Well, I mean, you guys recorded too.
We do.
We're just writing down questions. We're
Yeah.
And recording.
I thought you said
So wait,
somebody
wait,
was
so it's
recording.
okay.
Yeah, she
So
said.
it's okay to praise you and talk about good and everything
I'm
good,
recording,
but
so I
if
can
you
drop it in
vote,
AI thing, so it
okay.
generates.
Yeah,
if you
I-
vote
I
for
think-
something that you're putting in
Brett,
curriculum,
Brett,
Okay, we're
we
not
can't
here.
talk about
yeah,
that.
we're not, once again.
We're not here
So we can only talk about good things.
That's not true,
No.
I just asked for it.
Well, he just brought up a point, and it seems like all of us are in agreement
Mr.
that this is
Mr.
an important issue
Carpenter?
that should be addressed.
Okay, then we'll put it on the list as a question, and then we will answer it, but you can reach out to individual board members, because we can't speak as an entire board, we only have two people right here.
He was addressing her specifically on her reason.
I answered
for
his
what was her-
question, I don't think it's pertinent.
Okay,
Well, wait a second.
Okay,
I'll go
now,
on.
Wait a second.
Mr. Carpenter,
Your
it's not yours.
your vote has determined what goes in curriculum. So how is
It's
this not pertinent?
It is not a curriculum book.
It is a library.
What about
That is
the
a
absolutely
library.
true dive of part-time ended? You voted on that, if you wanna talk about that.
His
So your
question
vote
is-
does
his question-
impact
His
curriculum,
question was about a stolen life.
right? And which is in the
not a
library, which
curriculum
children have
book.
access to.
I told him his question was not pertinent.
Brett, I don't think the question is whether it's pertinent or not, it is, or not. What you're asking is legitimate. I understand what you're saying. This is not the correct forum for that, is what
What
we're
is the
saying.
correct forum? I'd like to understand when we can.
Not this and not Facebook.
Well, we're here
So
now
what
in
is it?
person and it's still not the right forum.
Yeah, Carrie, so
And
the
we go
reason
to
I
board
answered the way
meetings
I
and
did
It's not the right forum.
is
So what
because-
is the right forum that we can understand the reasoning and how you guys come to your decisions? That's
So-
what everyone wants to know.
I listed my reasons.
So it's okay for your reasons to be espoused in this meeting, but the second he wants to dig deeper, oh no, we can only hear your part of it.
Here,
We can't
here's
hear
what
his
I-
part of it.
Here's what I'm going
Really?
to say.
No, they'll work. We just, this isn't the forum for what you're asking.
Of course it is. This is the whole reason we came.
Disagreement is okay.
It is okay. It is.
Disagreement is how you come to compromises and conclusions. You can't, as soon as there is a disagreement, you can't shut down and run away because nothing is ever solved. That's my.
I understand what you're saying, but these are individual questions because the board does not say, oh, we're all gonna get together and vote this way. That's not how it works. They individually take all the information in and they draw their own conclusions and therefore they vote. So it's unfair for you, or for them, I should say, to have to answer that unless it's a one-on-one and you want to meet with them or you want to email them. And if they want to respond, that's perfectly fine. But if you're asking for them to say, as a whole, this is how we do it, that can't be answered. And I don't think this is the forum for that. That's not why we set this up.
I mean,
okay, and to follow up with that, Teresa, I have made efforts to communicate with Mr. Anderson and Mrs. Klein as well.
No, you have not. Facebook is not an effort to communicate with me. You
I do
my
have
school
on
email.
Messenger where we've,
Facebook Messenger is not an appropriate place to have these conversations.
okay, I can see that you're really upset, Faye, and that's not my intention here. Okay, I'm just trying to communicate to you. I know you hate my guts, okay? That has been well
I will
established.
step out for a moment. Thank you.
Okay,
This is not for a personal attack, so if you're here for that, I'm gonna ask.
I don't know how you
I
define
don't-
personal attack.
I
You're
don't think-
here for a personal
I don't
attack,
think this is
No.
a personal attack.
that,
Oh my
that,
goodness.
to me, was a personal attack.
What part of
Sounds
it?
like
What
that
part-
has said
what part
anything
is it?
about
False
anybody's
accusation.
character or anything.
Teresa, respectfully, what part of what I said was a personal attack? Can you help me understand?
Yes, you're trying to get her to say some things in a public meeting where it should be done one-on-one.
That's not.
And
But
as
then
a-
how does the public where our children go and we're all together understand? One-on-one doesn't help. So as a public, we're here as a community.
But you're asking how they come up with an answer. They come up with an answer on an individual basis. This is not the entire board.
Right,
You
and
don't
I'm,
get
and I was,
together
I
as
was
a board
addressing,
and
I was
say,
addressing Faye because I was very careful to, you know, to not lump the entire board in with what she said. I'm asking her in a public forum how she came to her conclusions. That's all I'm doing here, and
So
I'm
then you
not,
can reach out to her individually.
and as I've
if you
stated,
want.
she will not respond to
How
me,
did you come to
other
your
than
conclusion?
sarcasm
If we'll-
and
if we'll-
threats, and threats from her husband as well.
Okay.
So,
Well, we're gonna move on to the next.
well, I
person
would like to
whoever else.
continue asking, does anybody object to me continuing asking some questions? Does anybody here?
How about somebody else has an opportunity before you go again? I think that's only fair.
Let me take a stab at this one, Teresa. So I think what you're trying to ask here, Greg, is how do we come up, the initial question is how do we come up with our decisions?
I'm sorry, how what?
How we come up with our decisions, specifically.
What foundational principles, yes.
And what I do is, you know, I was an elected position, so I take the constituents serious, and I
Uh-huh.
listen to any feedback I get from constituents, okay? I have my own moral compass, and I use that to guide me. I have gone through the school system, so I understand what the strengths of the school system are, what the weaknesses of the school system are. I enlist, and I try and help guide my judgment that way. I also have, or am surrounded by great administrators, and I value their opinion. I don't always take their opinion, but I always value their opinion, so I always look into my decisions based on that as well. Specifically to what you're asking on that book, I don't know that it's a fair assessment to ask that at a public meeting. But that is, to answer your question, those are some of the things that I use just off the top of my head. I might need to think about a little bit more, there's probably a few others that I use to come up with decisions that I make with every board decision I make. Does that help answer or clarify that?
I appreciate that, Doug. I appreciate what you're saying. I mean, there's a lot there that we could discuss, but.
There is.
You
There
know,
is. It's
in the
complicated.
interest of time, I
It's
won't
complicated.
indulge.
I mean, there's a
Okay.
lot that goes into the position.
Okay, the way I understand the law is when a publicly elected official communicates with one of the constituents, that is public information and it can be addressed publicly.
Yeah, it's public information that.
Well, she answered,
Oh, wait, I'm
she
not-
was, I'm just saying this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna speak. for
This, it seems to me that it's not right for a publicly elected official to make a statement concerning a public vote. And then, oh no, this isn't appropriate.
So what you're asking is they don't make a statement then?
No, we're
No,
saying we back it up.
Address
No.
the statement.
If you're gonna
Once
make
a statement's
statement,
made,
have
it's
the confidence
public.
to back it up. I don't understand getting up and walking out
We're
because.
not,
I'm-
we're not here to do that. We're not
Well-
gonna,
Yeah.
no.
So we don't wanna back up our
I guess
beliefs
I
as
try and
public
restate that again,
officials?
Brett, I don't quite understand your
She's a
question.
publicly elected official.
Yes?
Well.
And I'm
this is-
asking what
This
principles
is a
guide
public
her
forum.
decisions.
She can't hide behind, well, this is private,
Oh,
you can
hang
do
on.
this individually. No, you can't.
You'll need to
You're
discuss that
publicly
with
elected
her.
officials.
You'll need to discuss those, it sounds like you have some questions for her, I can't answer those questions.
Well, she left.
Yeah, well-
And you guys all stood up and started blocking, no, he can't ask this. Of course he can ask these.
That's not
Of course
what-
this is
that's
the
not what I'm
appropriate.
I think-
Let's
Of
move
course
on
it
to,
is.
I wanna know more about Title IX and the intentions of the
Hang-
school.
Hang on one more second, I think you're
Yes.
misunderstanding though. This forum, that's not what this forum is for.
What is this forum for? To only talk about the good things?
It's to have positive conversation, first of all.
Not
And it started to go down a negative road.
Oh.
Not
So we
attacking.
can't speak about anything you're doing wrong.
That seems kinda like controlled speech.
Yeah,
Yeah.
slightly.
No.
It
Yes.
is. Yes, it is.
We can only have
You're-
good talk.
you're-
We
yeah.
can't-
Come on,
No, we're
give me a
asking.
break.
Constructive, let's say it that
As
way.
you first said, Joe, when I walked in, now it's the negative. Let's hear it. However, it did appear to me that it was starting to get personal. I think that's the road we don't wanna travel.
It was stated by a publicly elected official. It's public.
Once
It's
again,
not
I'm not sure
personal.
this is the forum that we are trying to address those individuals with.
See, this
And it's just
is
my
the problem.
opinion, Brett.
This is the problem. If you, as public elected officials, do things we find wrong, no. There's never a forum. Faye blocked me because I was speaking to her, but I have always been speaking with her through Messenger.
Gotcha.
As a public elected official, she chose that way to communicate with me,
Yeah.
and then she blocked it.
Brett, once again, I said.
It's
it earlier.
unethical.
I
It
said
might even be
earlier.
illegal.
I said earlier,
No,
Joel,
it's not
I
illegal.
answer
It's
every
not.
single,
You're-
I
If
answer.
it was the schools, yes, but it's not.
She's a publicly elected official. We have
Brett, if
every
you have
right
questions-
to ask these questions in
We're
public
not
forum.
gonna sit here and debate with you,
Yeah,
okay?
We're
That's not
arguing
why
once
we're
again,
here.
yeah. That's not why we're
I'm
here.
sorry, Carrie.
You have questions for
I-
me, Brett?
You're
would
the-
just like to
listen,
know
you are the one
what
arguing.
intentions
We're asking simple
were.
questions, and you're the one who's causing all the controversy.
Okay.
And my questions were designed around a statement that Faye said, and I said she was
That's
gracious
fine.
enough to
Gentlemen,
explain
we're moving
why
on to
she
a
voted
different
the way she
topic.
voted, and I had follow-up
We're
questions.
moving on to a different
Everybody
topic. If
got
you can't
upset.
stop, I'm gonna ask that you leave.
Let's hear her Title IX question.
Perfect, thank you.
I would like to know the intentions of the school district on Title IX with how it's being.
Well,
implemented.
Title IX is a beast, and we'll put that in our FAQ, because there are a lot of changes going on, you know. And, we don't know where that's gonna land. So we're working with attorneys on that piece and trying to figure it out. So I don't want to publicly give you information right now that I feel like I don't have.
May we
So-
do better than what the lawyers say? May we have it prior to the start of school? And then, depending on what it says.
Have what, like an answer is what you're saying?
Or how we're gonna handle it.
Okay.
Because I feel, as a parent, I have the right to make a decision, you know how I feel about this. My child is not going to see her first half naked, confused biological male in her locker room or her bathroom. So as a parent, if you have a child that's confused and going through that, and you're going to allow something that I disagree with, or any, a lot of other parents, I have a right to know before that happens. You don't have to give me the name, you just need to let me know that that's something that you guys have chosen to do, so I can make my choice as a parent.
We can certainly put that on FAQ. And I know that you are aware of the changes recently, so where it's gonna go, I don't know, and then after there's an election, it could go another way, so.
But I would think while it's in the court systems, which it is everywhere, that we would not make any decisions and we would just try not to force it or do the bare minimum based on the lawyers until it gets all the way through the court systems.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something I said to Mr. Clausen just recently when I had a conversation with him. The only people that are talking about it is the parents. And once the parents keep talking about it and say they can't do it, what do you think the students are gonna do? Yeah. So they're gonna push it. Right now, we don't have any of that going on. So we wanna keep it that way, and we've been able to counsel them into a single stall restroom, which has been excellent. But, you know, as soon as somebody pushes it, and I think if they keep hearing about it from parents that say they can't, that's when it could change, but we need to follow whatever the guidance is, and we don't know what it is, it keeps changing, so we don't know where we're at. So
Well,
I
well,
can certainly
well, let me
get
ask you that-
information to you as soon as I can.
So with the alternative school in mind, would that not be an option for that and have your bathrooms that way and it resolve
I
a
don't
huge
remember, do we
issue?
just have single stalls in there? I think so.
Is that what you prefer in schools?
You know, I don't wanna mix ever. I don't want that chance.
The current trend right now in school growth, new schools, is to have all, open bathrooms. You walk in, It's an open basin, wash basin, and then there's individual stalls floor to ceiling with locked doors. And there's a camera outside in the wash area.
Absolutely not, I don't prefer that. I don't want one chance of a female that thinks she's a boy, or vice versa. I don't want your son, my daughter, your daughter exposed in any way, shape, or form. And if you're not gonna have a teacher standing in there monitoring that inside, then absolutely.
So a camera wouldn't be, I'm just asking.
Maybe
a
it's
camera-
Schools are they doing
outside.
that in?
I actually just went to 2 of them recently,
Yeah.
not here, around here, but I
Fort
can
Wayne's
tell you,
doing it.
one was in
Fort
San
Wayne.
Diego, one was in
Yeah.
New York. A lot of schools that are building, that's what they're
That's
doing
what
now.
they're doing. And the theory there is that it's 100% safe, because,
It's actually better supervision that way.
yeah, because when you go in that stall, you have perfect privacy. There's, floor to ceiling, there's no gaps. And
But it's an enclosed room, so there's bathrooms on this side, bathrooms on this side.
No.
It's their
No.
own thing.
no,
It's like, how you go into a bathroom and kind of turn the corner to go to the stalls. Well, you take out that wall, but then you put full floor to ceiling partitions in there. And when I was I couldn't hear what was going on beside me, and there were males and females all going at the same time. It's actually easier to supervise, because where do you think the number one issue is for supervision?
So
Bathrooms. So if they're opened up, an administrator can stand up there. No one wants to stand in the stall, in the bathroom. They just feel uncomfortable. And,
That's fine, make them uncomfortable so they stay in their stall.
that's not it. There's accusations, and we don't wanna put our teachers in that situation.
Well,
But I don't want my child put in that situation.
I understand.
So-
Well, I guess that's why we're talking about
Yeah, other
what can
options,
we do, what
because-
other options?
There's a-
So the
Situation
doors
that puts
closed
the-
like an actual house door where it's completely 100% sealed, or is there a crack like the actual stall where you can look in there and see it?
it would
You know,
be-
there's a simple solution to solve all these problems. Very simple. Stop receiving federal funds. Stop receiving federal funds. Focus on education.
Millions of dollars.
Focus, that's right. Give up the
Yes.
money for the benefit of the kids.
Education.
So Carrie, that's just one option. That is not-
Dale, Dios sea.
I've thought about it a lot, and I don't know if that's something that we'll gravitate to, but I'm just interested, you don't like that idea though?
I don't want the idea that they can come out of that room and no one be around. I mean, it's
No one's around
something
now.
different.
You can't,
But right now, it's only girls in the girls' bathroom, and
Yeah.
it's only boys in the boys' bathroom. So if they come out flashing their stuff, being a girl or a boy in their own bathrooms, it's fine.
yeah,
But if you have them in a room where they could still flash,
Yeah.
expose, do whatever, and unless someone's going to be in there, then I don't see that works either. I mean, if it opened out into a hallway where it was visible, the whole length of the thing, and they opened out into the hallway, that would be a different thing, but just enclosing them and having that little bit of room, I still am not okay with.
Terry, do you really think that kids would do that in middle school or high school, come out and flash each other?
Well, of course they would.
Oh, would they? Okay, I'm just
They
asking.
do.
They try, but sometimes they get pulled from
Because
things, they rotate and
What I would be scared about that is if this door is closed from top to bottom and boys or girls are mixed, what's stopping somebody
Getting a
from
nooner?
forcing a male, what's stopping a male from forcing themselves into the bathroom stall with a girl and locking the door and nobody even know what's going on?
Right, that's what it's.
once again, that could happen.
Cameras can catch it happening, but
Yeah.
cameras aren't gonna stop it from
Yeah.
happening.
That could happen today though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the thing.
But I'm just trying to understand Doug's reaction to my saying, stop receiving federal funds. You just like blow it, oh, that's unquestionable.
I mean, I don't know how you would do it. If you look at the budget, it's like.
Well, obviously, things
For-
would change,
for
but they would
us
change
to-
for the better.
For us to cut out the federal.
Okay, what
budget,
about
we'd have
this?
to increase the state budget like insane.
There's another
Stephen,
solution.
can you finish?
No, it's
that?
okay.
There's another solution that's very simple. See, I would act, if this were me, in the best interest of students, whatever it took. But everyone seems to be focused on money. That is the problem, and that is a problem. It's a
Well,
huge
you can always
problem.
run for office, so there's.
All right, but I'm throwing this out to you guys. I'm just saying you could solve this problem, but yeah, it would cost. But why not make a commitment? The whole point of having local authorities is that you make the decisions for this school district, and you're not, otherwise we just have a kiosk. Whatever the federal government decides, whatever the state decides, well, we just do that. And it appears that's what you're doing. Why not just make a commitment as a school board? We are going to follow Indiana state law. We will not, doesn't matter Title IX, we will not allow boys in the girls' bathrooms. We will not allow boys in the girls' sports. And just make that the rule.
Then go to another school.
Yeah, that's simple.
Who would go, those people would go to a different school, but this school would have an influx of hundreds, if not thousands of people.
Like-minded, yeah.
And then you talk about monies?
Gotcha.
I mean, there are others, there's always different solutions to your problems. You might feel hurt for a little bit, but if you're more attractive to the conservative community, you might draw more money in the long run.
Is there a suggestion that you want to bring up?
Yes. With all the road construction out here, how about, is there any talk about a right-hand turn lane to get on the Lima through all this? Cause it's still, traffic's still like blocked up. You know, even with the flow out here out front.
Or just, I
No,
mean, that's
just-
not on us, so
Well,
we
yeah,
don't
that's
really
what
know.
I didn't know if there was any.
Yeah, I don't.
talk.
So if you wanted to do that, what you go to is go to Lance and his secretary Cindy up there at town hall, and then go to a board of works meeting and maybe propose it to their board, so you can say, hey, and then they can
I
maybe.
mean, if you're
look at
living it
that.
every day and it's
That's
an
who you
issue,
want
it's
to
just,
talk
we
to
don't have
about
any
that.
control over that.
Yeah.
The board of works in
That's
town.
I didn't know if there was any talk about it with all the.
I have
going
not
on out
heard
there.
that, but
Yeah.
I haven't been in all those meetings, that's, Mr. Leach does all of that. So I haven't been privy to
It would be a
everything,
good idea.
It's still like shut
and that's
down.
not something I heard.
So that's what we're doing, recommendations right now? I totally forgot what we were initially talking about.
We
I
call it
can't
areas
remember.
of growth, cause we always need to get better, and that's what we try to do, so.
Okay, so I recommended at last board meeting was, I really would like to see a portal where the community can write recommendations to. And, you know, and like, almost like, you get like your questions that you think are legitimate, you answer them. Same thing you could do with the portal. You know, I'm sure people are just gonna get on there and rant and say crap and whatever else, just brush it off. But there might be some actual good tidbits of ideas in there, because the community, I mean.
You don't wanna go to a meeting and face all that.
Right.
Yeah,
People can't
yeah,
go to the meetings,
yeah,
so-
not even they can't. Like I said, my heart freaking races at those things.
Yeah,
Most
I get
people
it.
are too scared to do
It's
anything.
very daunting.
So if it was just something, oh, I can type here and feel safe at home and give my recommendation, which it might be a good one. Granted, there's gonna probably be some dumb ones, but there's gonna be some good ones on there. And I would love to see the community to be able to have a portal like that, that would go directly to you guys, for you guys to see. I think that would be a good thing.
And we try to do that right now with anybody that sends a question, that's why it started the FAQ, was is this really happening, or those kind of things, and we're slowly getting through the list.
And
but-
not so much the questions though, where people are asking you questions, it would be more just like this, right here, recommendations of what people
Not
think
necessarily
that we
wanting you
could
guys to
do.
answer a question or.
Yeah,
give-
we're not,
we just
not
want
wanting to
throw
answer
out.
questions, but just an opportunity to say, hey, I think this would be a good idea to maybe do this, or go this route, or do this. And then you guys can look at it,
Yes,
yeah,
suggestions.
yeah, and you don't even, suggestion box, but open to the community.
And I actually tried to go on and find this, but for some reason it was saying it was not accessible
How long ago?
from the last board meeting.
I did the same thing one
How to
night.
do it?
I tried to get onto the fact
It says it was not accessible. I tried several times for a couple
Cause
days.
even before I gave you like the steps on how to do it, I checked it to make sure I was telling you to click on the right ones. And it went through.
I didn't have access, or so it just wouldn't go to the right URL or whatever, it was just giving me
I'm
some.
on it right now, I just went on there, it's working.
Trying to get
But I wonder if it's because we're East Noble, work sometimes.
Maybe because we're
Lots of
not on the
people
same
are.
network or something.
I don't know, we'll have to check into it, so we'll have somebody from, if you guys could try logging in and just shoot me an email if it's not working from yours.
I'm gonna do some garage.
Then we'll check it out.
I'm terrible with
He's not techie.
this
Okay.
kind, that kind of stuff. So this whole parade thing I've been doing, I've been hand delivering.
office or a
I
staff
know,
member that
it's people
would be,
hoping they're gonna say,
Probably the best way to
We
do
don't
it.
even really call it.
Okay, good.
And then something else I wanted to say would be a good recommendation. For me, in my life, I like to talk to other people to hear what, you know, their recommendations or their ideas or their wisdom. Most of the time it's older people I like to go after. But I think it would be a good idea if we started, and you guys might already do it, reach out to like the other school corporations that are ranked high on their scores to see what they're doing, to see what kind of curriculum they have, and maybe just try to copy them.
We do that offer, have a similar demographics. We're not gonna go after the Brownsburg and some of those because they have a different
What's the
population.
Brownsburg? Is that just like a big?
They're
big
down in
school?
Indianapolis and they were
Okay.
rated number 1
Okay.
in the state for many years, but they have very affluent area. I mean, it's a very affluent area.
Yeah.
And you can't compare somebody that has a 2% free reduced lunch population to somebody that has a 50. So what we look at is people with similar demographics. And if they scored high, then we contact them and say, what are you doing? You get ideas, and we sometimes go for school visits. So it just depends on, you know, what it is. But yeah, I mean, we've been doing that for years.
And like my biggest priority and what I would like to see recommendations would be the test scores and just and raising that bar on the education with the children. I know you have to get them to want it, but I know the number one killer of poverty is education.
Oh, I agree 100%.
And I don't want to fall into our town where it's a slum and there's no education and there's no middle class. So, you know what I mean? I want to try to fight that, and that's
educational
what
scores
I
to
see
improve.
when I see low test scores.
Well, how
That
can they
scares me
when they're
for my
doing that?
community because those
That's
are
how
going
you work
to be
your way
the people that are in charge in 20 years. So
Look at our
that's
employees,
my
our employers are gonna inherit that.
so.
Yeah, bríncale.
Our
Another-
businesses are gonna go to hell and
Ya
our
bríncale.
community's gonna fail, so it's a big picture.
Yeah, so another thing that I would like to maybe recommend would be a bonus program, and I've heard other people recommend to me too, that's why I'm bringing it up, a bonus program for teachers that get higher test scores in their class, directly on their check, to give a a teacher an incentive to do it, because what's a better incentive than money in a capitalist nation? I mean, that gets somebody working harder if they think they're gonna get a bonus. Go to a factory that pays hourly, you're gonna get the bare minimum work. Go to a factory that works off a commission, you're gonna have a bunch of people busting their butts for good pay. So I'd like to see better wages for these teachers. I know you gotta try to come up with that money. That's why I was kinda arguing about the school, because yeah, you might need to buy a school and upgrade that school, but does it really need cathedral ceilings? Does it need to be a glass house where you're gonna be losing a ton of heat and ton of cooling? Does it really need an entire kitchenette? Maybe just give them a microwave. Does it need to have an outside area? I understand you wanna help those kids, but there's kids that are here in the school that are trying and that are being obedient and trying to follow the rules and trying to do the right thing, and they get a concrete room with no windows. And they don't get a kitchenette, and they don't get an outside patio room, they don't have high ceilings, they don't have glass windows around. There's a lot of things that I just don't quite understand. Yeah, I'm okay if you want to and I would even say, if you wanna upgrade the building, that's fine, let's match it. Let's crank out and put another, who cares, it's just debt. We're already just typing the numbers at the bank.
Instead of 5 million, make it 10 and match it. You won't hear me complain. And put 5 million to the other kids here at the other school. Upgrade some of the stuff. Give the teachers some bonuses. Whatever. You won't hear me complain. I just don't think it's fair that they're getting that when all the other kids are getting this concrete brick walls. It's just not. It's not logical.
Let me just throw something out here. They've actually done studies on this in charter schools in New York, and they've taken schools with less than 50% passing, offering financial incentives to the teachers, and it's gone to 100% passing. So we know it works.
And you guys already have tests. Like I remember, I don't know if you still have it, but I remember when I was in school, they did like the NWEA tests. You still have something like that where it shows where you value, like where you sit at the beginning of the year and then where you sit at the end of the year. You could base your bonuses off of those test scores.
Oh, can I start?
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, okay, you have a lot in that, and I have about 3 minutes to try to address it. So,
crap.
first of all, our scores only come out one time a year. So we're still being beat up all year long because of what happened last year. And we're still coming off of COVID. We made some strides last year. We really did for the last 2 years, try to get the foundation built, which is our reading. Our reading, if it doesn't happen, our kids aren't gonna pass anything. So we have to build that foundation first. Yes, we do iReady, which is a direct indicator of what we're gonna see on iLearn. iLearn scores are starting to come out. We're starting to see what's there. But we don't have all of that yet. But what we are seeing is some real positive results across the board because we're building that foundation. But you have to remember, that's been a K-2 focus, and that doesn't start shifting over until they get up into those iLearn scores, which were 3rd through 8th grade. So, our grade levels, I should say. So it's 3rd through 8th grade. So it's gonna take a while to get that train going, and we know it's going right now because I've actually had a kindergarten teacher, actually one today, came up to me and showed me their data on the phone. And what we do is have a red, yellow, green score. Red meaning they're really down there. Yellow means they're still approaching grade level, but green means they're on. In the past, they've had mostly red. This year they have 1. And out of all their students, they had 1 student in red. They had very few in yellow, and most of them are on green. So that means that from the youngest that we are be able to produce readers. And so it just takes a while to do that. We're not making excuses, but we finally added iReady into the middle school. Mr. Kane was agreeable to that, and so they have really been using their data to drive instruction. Those teachers are just getting familiar with how to make that happen. But we are very, very excited. I can tell you our iRead scores right now, we don't have them all back because we still have retesters, but we're above where we were last year. So we're very excited about that, and we can't release it yet because it's all embargoed at this point. So none of that can be released publicly, but it will come out eventually. So yes, do we use that to drive our instruction? Absolutely. We got rid of NWEA because NWEA was not giving us the data that we needed to drive instruction. And I think some of that was the problem. So try to remember, let's go back to your teacher question about giving them bonuses. We are restricted by what the employment education, or not employment, what is it? Indiana employer. Anyway, we're restricted on what we can and cannot do through collective bargaining for our teachers. And if it isn't bargained, and if Herb says we can't do it, we can't do it. We have been giving bonuses to our teachers, but it's not specifically because they raised the bar or whatever. But we've been doing that for a couple years. I think Brian's.
As long as I've been on board.
Yeah.
So
So anyways, that has been happening. But if you look at, a lot of studies will tell you, especially among teachers, because they have to work very collaboratively together, they don't want those bonuses. There's a lot of them that don't want it. They don't want the, I want to say, friction among other teachers doing that. Because it does make a little bit of friction that I'm trying to outdo you and I'm trying to outdo you and you have less, instead of working as a team.
So that's just like the workforce though, you don't know
But
what,
we're not the workforce. We're not doing widgets.
I know, but
We're developing
you're providing a
teachers.
service.
We are providing a service, but it's not the
That's-
same. I can tell you that's not the same.
So. but
These
if you're-
these are human beings that we're trying to change their lives.
Yeah,
It's not a widget out there to see how many of them I can get
no,
through.
it's still service,
Totally different.
it's still service,
I-
it's still service, no matter what, you're getting paid for a service. You're-
And how
you're
can we
getting-
control the outcome?
If it's not a service, then do it for free. I'm just saying, do it for free.
I think you mentioned earlier though, you know, we can't control what happens, you alluded to the fact we can't control what happens at home,
Yeah,
you know, and so there's so many variables there that are roadblocks.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
but, yeah,
There's instances where kids will come take these tests and they intentionally do poor to make the teacher look bad.
yeah,
You know,
well,
there's-
don't let them know. But I mean, I understand.
It's
But
common.
like I was saying though, in the workforce, you don't always know what your coworker's making. You don't have to make it a thing where you throw it in somebody's face like, oh.
It would have to be in the contract. It would have to be written out in there so they would know. Because it has to be the same, we're bound by those regulations. We can't
The
change
union
that.
boards of the,
They are the gatekeeper of the employee contracts, the teacher contracts. And there is legislation that says what we can and cannot do. So,
now where would I see that at? Where could I read that legislation at, you know?
you would just have to Google it, just like I would have to do it to find it.
What would be some words I could look up that might get it to pop up?
For, I mean,
Just for the laws,
teacher
for what you're,
contracts.
yeah.
Just go in and
Indiana
teach
State.
Indiana code for teacher contracts. But then they made Herb the gatekeeper of all of that. And so Herb is the one that has to do the logistical part and the interpretation, and they tell us what we can and cannot
You
do.
said herb?
Herb, IEERB.
O-I-I-E-R. What was his last name?
Who?
Herb?
No.
That's an acronym.
Oh, I thought you were talking about an actual person I could get a hold of and talk to.
No.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Hey, we're 3 minutes after, so we're gonna go ahead and move
But
forward.
that's what I would look up.
Could I ask my question?
I-E-R-B.
Last question?
Yeah, I guess basically I just want, to request a detailed explanation of the criteria and process that is used to approve books, not just in the library, but also in curriculum.
To what, I'm sorry, to what books?
How books are approved for
Curriculum or library.
Yes, I know I'm not the only one, but I think I just feel unheard. I mean, you say you wanna improve, but this is the second time a controversial book has been approved, and I just don't feel like our concerns are being heard. I mean, I can share from personal experience that when I was a student at East Noble, I was given a book to read that I regret having read. There are many great books, and I just feel like there is no excuse for having to keep that type of content for students to read.
Thank you, appreciate it. We'll add that to the list.
The only, what I would say about the last book that you guys recommended, I understand that your
They didn't
intentions.
recommend it, they just approved to keep it.
Oh, yeah,
Let's
approved to
get the
keep it.
verbiage, and it's not part of curriculum, it's in the library, but it still shouldn't be.
I understand what you're trying to do, but it doesn't, you can find books that do that aren't so graphic. Some of the stuff that I read out of that book, I would feel like if someone who's actually been raped might read that and might like.
Be
oh,
traumatized.
They're reliving it.
Wow, that's pretty horrific and terrible.
That's why we're not psychologists.
It's not, I just don't think it's
And I wanted to
appropriate.
get to all those
You-
points, but I
you
was
can-
shut down, so.
You can make a beautiful
There's
salad
that.
in, you can make a beautiful salad in, if you put a little bit of crap in it, it's disgusting. So,
Well, thank you, appreciate everybody's input for the evening. We're gonna call it a night, and thank you for coming. We'll be putting that stuff on the FAQ, appreciate it so much.